Why do I feel like the trend in watches is kind of like shorts in basketball? What do I mean? Do you remember in the 70s when we used to have those booty shorts? Yeah, scary, right? And then we had the baggy shorts of the 90s. Thanks, Allen Iverson. And I feel like now everybody wants to go back to the good old days. Hey guys, I'm Max and welcome back to Retro Watch. So, to me, Breitling has been a bit of a one-hit wonder. I mean, you can't deny the importance of the Navitimer in terms of its relationship with aviation and the development of the first chronograph movement, but I feel like modern Breitlings have been kind of all over the place and really lacked a coherent design language. And so when they got a new CEO in 2017 and he promised to sort of take the company back to the good old days, we kind of held our breath. And I was pleasantly surprised recently when they announced the reissue of the Top Time. This was a watch that was immediately striking to my eyes. It has a lot of cool, funky colors and those triangular subdials that look like the mask of Zorro. It just sort of screams retro chic. But I'm gonna sound like a broken record. I think this watch is just a little bit too big. With a lug-to-lug distance of 51 millimeters and a thickness of over 14, I just don't think I can comfortably rock that watch. And so before you go out and spend $5,000 on this thing, and it's actually sold out as we speak because it was a limited release, I say let's take a look at the vintage Top Times on which this watch was based. That can be still had for about half the price and comes in at a much more reasonable size. The Top Time was first introduced in 1964. The baby boomer generation were coming of age, and watch companies were trying hard to capture this rising demographic. Compared with Breitling's more professional offerings, such as the Navitimer or the Chronomat, the Top Time was positioned more as an entry-level chronograph. With clean lines and a splash of color, the Top Time was an immediate success, giving it a production run of over a decade. Here we have the reference 2002. It features a diameter of 36 millimeters, a lug width of 18 millimeters, a thickness of just 11.5 millimeters, and a very manageable lug-to-lug distance of 43 millimeters. Because of its enduring success, there are many variants of vintage Top Times to choose from. One of my favorites featuring the Zorro or bowtie dial design was their Sprint series of oversized chronographs. Double register Top Times had reference numbers in the 2000s, whereas the 810 series featured triple registers. Dials came in plain, panda, and reverse panda colorways, and cases were made with steel, gold plating, and 18-karat gold. Early Top Time movements were sourced from Venus, whereas later models featured Valjoux hardware. Some more adventurous designs included the Top Time racing chronograph, as well as certain references featuring rotating bezels. Our example comes from 1967, and as anything more than 50 years old, it does have its share of blemishes commiserate with its age. But you can still appreciate the beautiful brushed sunburst radial pattern on a silver dial. That dial itself has taken on more of a warm champagne tone over the decades. The chronograph pushers feature a piston-style design, and the black chronograph hand contrasts well with the light dial underneath it. The watch retains its original Breitling sign crown, and the case is entirely polished. The lugs have a bold shape and feature sharply defined facets. They also slope downwards, and combined with the thinness of the watch, it makes for a very comfortable fit. A quick pause for me to remind you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can hit that button below as you watch, and this way YouTube will remind you of future episodes as they come out every couple of weeks or so. Okay, back to the Top Time. So part of the allure of this watch was also its appearance in the 1965 James Bond movie Thunderball. Check out this clip.
Ram Collins, Mr. Bond?
Yes, just about that hour, isn't it?
For you? Of course. Vargas does not drink.
In the movie, Bond is tasked with finding 2 nuclear warheads stolen by Spectre. To help his mission, his top time was modified with a Geiger counter by Q.
Here we have a Geiger counter. Useful and unobtrusive. The sweep hand takes the radioactivity count. It's waterproof, of course.
But of course.
The watch, the only one of its kind especially made for the movie, went missing after the shoot. And it eventually turned up at a car boot sale where it was bought for £25. The watch eventually sold at a Christie's auction in London for over £100,000. The other Breitling featured in Thunderball was the Navitimer reference 806.
Francois.
And so with its vintage sizing and its warm patina, the watch really comes alive on the wrist. For its age, it somehow manages to still have a modern aesthetic without looking dated. This reference 2002 Mark I is one of the dressier variants, having a more subdued dial design. And I think this makes the watch supremely versatile. It would look fitting for a day at the office, but wouldn't be out of place on a casual weekend outing either. And you wouldn't have to baby this watch. Carrying the ubiquitous Valjoux 7730 movement, this watch should be serviceable by any competent watchmaker. I think it's so cool how these vintage Breitlings can gain so much character as they age. And, reviewing this watch really gives me hope that in the future Breitling will continue to try to rekindle that vintage magic. So that's the video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up below and subscribe if you haven't already. I also want to thank my friend CJ for lending me the watch. He's actually got this guy up for sale right now on his website, so I'll link that in the description below. So thank you for watching. Until next time, take care.